everybody. Welcome back to Clip It. Juanita James here. We are so excited to have you here. This episode is very, very important to our industry, and we just want to let everybody know how to go back safely into your salon. I have a phenomenal woman here. It's Carla Jones. She is a previous salon owner. She is a coach, and she has all the information that we need to know on how to go back into the salon. Hi,
Hey,
Carla.
hello,
So
hello.
excited.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for the invite. Thank you for the opportunity. So I'm excited about our time together today
Yes.
and just the information that, we'll be able or I'll be able to share with you and your viewers, your community. And so as one industry professional to another, it's always so welcoming and so exciting to just be able to connect, collaborate, share. It's just, I
Yes.
enjoy every opportunity I get to do that.
Yes. Thank you so much. And so she's from Atlanta. She is going to let us know how it's going down there. And also, she's going to let us know, since they've been open for a while, even though a lot of salon owners did not go back, they're
Right.
waiting. Um, so we're going to just, take it from there, like far as
Okay.
how it's going in Atlanta. And then you're going to also let us know how to go back into the salon safely.
Okay.
We truly appreciate your time.
And I'm just so honored, and especially during this time of pandemic and uncertainty. I think it's really important that stylists get the best information possible, or beauty professionals, not just stylists, the best information possible.
Yes.
So actually, to go back, how I really got involved and so committed to this process of going through the pandemic was I had a conference in Tampa on March 8th and 9th. And I'm originally from Florida. And of course, every opportunity that I can get to go back to my home state, my home area, and to visit friends and family, I take advantage of it. And that was one of those times. So I spent an extra few days in Florida, and I drove down. So it was so nice to be able just to, be on my own schedule and that kind of thing. So coming back that following weekend on the 14th of March is when, I began to really hear on the radio the things that were going on globally, as well as in our nation,
Yes.
as it related to coronavirus, and as we call it, COVID-19. So this was also during a period of time in my coaching program. I also have online courses, and I have an online course I typically launch 3 to 4 times a year, which is called Build, Brand, and Bag It. And so it's a mid-tier kind of pricing course. It's a 12-week course, and it's typically $497. And before we actually, open the doors to registration, I do a 5-day free boot camp that leads into the registration period. Well, coming back and hearing the news, I began to think about, was this the right time?
Okay.
And what I think people don't realize is, I'm not behind the chair anymore. I tell people I'm still around the chair. I just happen to sit in the chair, and mine's a coaching and consulting chair. And so it sort of hit, and people think, well, you just consult. Well, the people I consult with were the ones who were ultimately told that they couldn't go to work.
Wow.
Well, if people can't go to work, they can't pay for any of my services. They can't pay for any of my courses or whatever. And so I took a step back and I said, driving, and I was actually praying, and I was like, okay, Lord, you're really going to have to give me a direction here.
Right.
I don't feel comfortable. I have been in positions personally of despair and destitute. And so I know what it's like not to know where your next meal is coming from. I know what it's like to potentially have to fear, am I going to get evicted? Is my car going to get repossessed? All of these things were running through my mind, but they were also running through my mind because I had lived them.
Right.
And so what I wanted to do was to make sure that I didn't show up as one of these, I'm going to call, those ambulance chaser kind of hairstylist or coach, right?
Okay.
I didn't want to hang on people's fear or use people's fear as a way to promote my services and to get them into what I wanted because it served me. So my whole goal was, okay, Lord, how can I be a servant and of service during this time? How can I bring peace and calm, education and information to beauty and barber industry professionals who have never ever had anything happen to them like this? It's a difference when you decide I'm going to work today or not. It's a whole nother story when the government shuts you down and says, we don't care.
Yes.
We don't care what your bills are. We don't care who you
Yes.
owe. You know, it's really not our concern whether your landlord forgives any of your rent, whether it's personal or business. And that hit me. It hit me hard. And so I got home that Saturday evening, and that Sunday I woke up with this idea of creating a community for stylists where it was a captive sort of audience, but it was also a controlled space. Mm-hmm. I had been, in a couple of the hairstylist groups the night before, just sort of testing and seeing what people were saying. And literally, I'll be honest with you, I was disheartened. Wow. I was disgusted. I could not believe that these were industry professionals talking to each other. I mean, swearing, cursing, calling names, chastising people for choices that they had to make because it was better for them. It was disheartening. And I said, you know what? I need a safe space. Okay. And I need a space that I can control because this is not going to happen. Okay. I want to operate on the premise of what would Jesus do. Okay. Let's go back to WWJD. Let's go back to that.
Exactly.
But seriously, that was my thought. Okay. I don't profess to be a righteous Christian. I do profess to be a Christian because, hey, for all who have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, I'm one of them. All right. Yeah. So I decided to start a Facebook group. And clearly I did not have a name for this group. And I was like, okay, I cannot launch this group without a name. So I wanted a name that resonated with COVID so people would understand it's related to COVID, but it also provides education. So I came up with the name COVIDcation. And COVIDcation is actually a Facebook group now that has over 4,200 members. Started March 15th. I launched it about 11 p.m. that Sunday night.
Oh, and
within about 24 to 36 hours, we had close to 1,000 members in there. And this was just from me just posting and say, hey, I have a safe space. I am going to dedicate my time to being the voice piece to bring accurate information about the things that impact us.
Yes.
And so I did that. I took that charge on March 15th. I mean, when somebody says I feel like an extension of CNN News, I really do. And I tell people, now I said, hey, I'm Karla Jones. I'm signing out, Channel 7, WCOVID.
Yeah,
so,
awesome.
But I wanted them to know that there was someone, and part of how I connected was I told my story. I told about a time in my life. I'm a 58-year-old mother of a 44-year-old. You can do the math. And so I understand what it's like not to know how you're going to eat, how you're going to pay a bill. I know what it's like to have an eviction notice and wake up and your car is no longer there. I know what that's like. So I wanted to make sure that people understood that I understood their plight or potential plight.
Yes.
And that together, based on my learnings of what I went through in my life, I wanted to help them navigate so those things didn't happen to them. Even to the point of referring someone for public assistance who had never even known that they could qualify. Okay. So that was the type of service that I was providing. And I told them, we're not going to feel guilty. And if anybody feels guilty about collecting public assistance, you can have my portion because I worked for corporate almost 25 years. And I know my tax dollars went into the system and I've not used up what I paid into. So anybody is able to go collect on mine. And so I didn't want anybody feeling like, oh, that's only for poor people. No, that's for people in need.
Right.
So whenever you you qualify or you fall into that category, you're a person of need. And so with that, I started paying attention daily to all of the news. Every governor's press conference I was on.
Yeah.
And bringing that information. Every CDC, every press conference, the president, any of the World Health Organizations, anything that people were sharing, if they brought me information, I had to vet that information. I needed either the resource that you got it from, and preferably text it to me so I can go read it word for word.
Okay.
So I didn't bring back hearsay. I brought back facts.
Right.
So, and so they could ask any question. I went live daily with training and education. I brought on guest speakers, just to be an environment. We figured out ways to earn money. What are the things that they could do within the scope of our license that was
Right.
not violating any state law, to earn money. And
Right.
so that's what this group became.
Okay.
And yeah.
So getting down to the closing of the salons,
Mm-hmm.
and of course it affected us gravely, and in regards to opening back up, first and foremost, your opinion of what do you think about salons and barbershops and massage therapists and tattoo artists and makeup artists? What is your personal outlook in regards to that? Do you think it's the right time now, or do you, in regards to that, just that opinion right now, in regards to, do you think it's time for us to go back in? Do you think it's dangerous?
I don't think it's any more dangerous than it was the day we walked out. I'll be honest with you. From the data and the information that I have tracked, that has been shared from Dr. Fauci to everyone down, I understand why they did it, because here's the thing. When you don't know, the best thing to do is to do what they did. Okay, because they didn't know. They didn't know. There were so many unknowns. We don't know how it's really spreading. We don't know the impact. We need to do whatever we need to do to figure this thing out. Okay. Unfortunately, it became this type of, which I was afraid it would be, this fearful kind of, oh my God, plague across the world. Everybody's going to die. Okay. My whole thing was, if you take a look back, and if even industry professionals would have gone to the CDC, if the highest administration in the world, or all of the world leaders, were listening to this one body, or these two bodies, the CDC and the World Health Organization, why are you listening to your friend who has no experience? Okay, so I went to the source. I'm a source finder. Let's go to the source. These are the people who's guiding everything that we do. So let's look at the information. The information has always been posted on the CDC website. It's always been posted on the World Health Organization website. We just don't take the time to do our own research as industry professionals. And unfortunately, that is why we get caught in the crossfires of this fear. Now, is it real, and should we have a heightened concern? Absolutely. This thing is real. But I don't think it required us to be out of work 2 months, 3 months, and 4 months.
You don't?
No. We are close contact service providers. No, if there's no two ways about it. We are literally this close to people. Here's the thing. There were ways to have kept people safe and working. And the number one way, which they did not allow people to do, and the reason they didn't have enough tests.
Okay.
The minute tests came out, then we could have said, all right, here's some options. There was never options given.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm okay. I guess everybody does have a different view on what's going on, because it's 100,000 Americans that's dead due to COVID.
And there was over 78,000 people that died of the flu.
Okay.
Right.
I understand that, but I'm just trying to, so I guess we have different views on regards to people's safety, because I'm not going to be the one to go back and chant.
No, hold on. I didn't say you could go back. You asked me the question. What did I think? Now,
you said that it's just as safe as when we closed as today.
I said we could have been as safe if we had done certain precautions.
Okay.
Okay? Think about this same thing. What we're doing now is what was being done when we were shut down. From medical, how we have to go back. We go back with masks. We go back with thermometers. We're taking temperatures. We go back with pre-screening. Now that we have the option, okay, and we have the availability of more tests, the moment those tests became available, here's the thing. Stylists could have, and the city could have, and the state could have required, in order for anyone in a close contact position to go back to work to service the public, these are the things that are required. One is you have to be tested and have to file that test with the public health, your local health organization. That could have been easily done. Okay.
Well, it's only been 2 months, and this whole pandemic has been devastating to a lot of people. So I have to, just express, because I was still behind the chair in my salon. So my salon is closed right now. So
yes,
I have to express like where I'm coming from in regards to this pandemic, and a lot of stylists that have been out of work for 2 months. Some people might look at it as they're ready to go back, and some people are afraid. A lot of people are afraid to go back. So it's not as, to me, it's not a simple decision, because our whole life, it's a new normal. It's a new normal.
Let's separate what you're talking about. Let's separate what you're talking about. What you are talking about is your own personal fear. That's not the question you asked me.
Okay.
The question you asked me is, what did I think about this entire thing and people going back to work? I'm telling fact-based.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with our own personal choices. Any state that opens up that says that we have the right to go back to work, we are not mandated to go back to work. And that's where people are getting it confused. The state has lifted the mandate that you have to be closed, but that lifting of the mandate does not require you to go back if you are not comfortable. If that is not, you can stay out another 6 months. You can stay out, or anyone else can stay out until there is a vaccine for it, which some are saying it could be December, and some are saying it could be as late or as early as July of 2021. These are facts.
Right.
So we have to separate our own personal decisions, and your personal decision is okay. But here's where I feel it crosses the line, is where people start interjecting their personal on other people's right to have the same personal. If I choose that I'm comfortable going back to work, and I'm taking all the precautionary measures that I have been told to take, and I'm even going above that, because the states are giving you minimum. The state didn't even, in the state of Georgia, did not even print all of the required symptoms that a COVID person could show as a potential symptomatic person. They only listed a few. I went back to CDC website and I was like, oh my gosh, there's like 6 other things they didn't list that we need to be checking for. So again, this is why it's required for us to do our own due diligence and not sit and just, well, this is what they said on the news. This is what they said, because remember, even the news is secondhand and third party. There's nothing that beats when you go to the official website and you're reading it from OSHA, because OSHA has a 35 page guide of how they classify, and it's designed for the workplace during COVID-19. It even classifies us. We're in there are 4 levels of heightened states of concern. The very high, the mid, we're in the 3rd, and then we're right above the 4th tier, because we are close contact service providers, but we are not in the 2 higher ranks. So while we do have contact, they give specific guidelines on what should be done. And so again, the protection guides are there, but no one can tell you or someone else who has a heightened level of fear. That's personal, that's psychological, that's emotional, that person has to.
So what do we have to do to go back safely? Do you have
So to go back safely, here's the thing. We know that it is a close contact type of virus. We know that it is And this has not been any different from when Wuhan, China, when they found it in Wuhan, China, it's the same thing. We have to make sure that we cover our face because it is spread virally through the germs that come out of our mouth, our nose. There's been no proof, no scientific proof, no anything that a blow dryer will hurt. And here's the thing, if they're telling us that soap and water is the best thing for sanitation, going back to the salon, you're blow drying clean hair. You're supposed to be in a very highly sanitized and disinfected environment, okay? If you're doing your due diligence, then your environment is one of the safest places to be in,
Okay.
to be honest.
Okay.
Because you can control that. And so, one, it should not be optional for your client to wear a mask. It should be required that they wear a mask. You should be taking your temperature daily. Matter of fact, if it were my salon, I would go get tested, and I would require any other booth renters or anything to get tested as well before we even open the doors. They have free testing all over the country now. All you have to do is schedule an appointment and drive through because you don't even get out your car. And so I would require that we're not going to open until we get everybody's test results, because those test results would be important for us to market. Not only are we COVID conscious, but we are also COVID negative. We all have been tested.
And so in regards to moving forward as the new normal, how do you think that a lot of us stylists, especially in our culture, how do you think that this whole pandemic is going to affect our flow, or in regards to just how we maneuver and how we basically make a living?
Okay, here's the thing. Number one is nothing beats pencil and paper. And I don't mean that to be facetious, but nothing beats a great plan. And what stylists aren't doing is stylists aren't planning for the new normal. It's, oh, they told us I can't double book. Oh, they told us I can't have 5 people sitting in the same space. To be honest with you, I didn't work like that. So I'm not an advocate, and I've never been an advocate of having all of these people sitting around waiting, because stylists think they earn more money when they have 7 people waiting. I think it's a ridiculous practice, personally. And I think if you understand and you price your services right, you understand how long it takes. And I'll give you an example. I'm a short hairstyle. It literally takes, if I'm coming in for a shampoo, a wrap, and a style, it takes less than an hour to get me in and out your salon. Why would you bring me in the middle of a weave service? For me to now have to wait 3 hours while you either take down, you're sewing down, you're doing something that requires, you're in the middle of the blow dry. Now I got to sit through all of this. That was our fault. That comes from lack of planning for the services. So there, if we take a step back and we look at every one of our services that we do, we understand exactly what entails and what goes along with this service. Okay, I never had more than 2 people at one time, and that was just the way I worked, because I realized I didn't make any more money by having 7 people sit there look at me. It was a waste of their time, and it made me highly anxious. So what I needed to do was to become a better steward of my time and look at my time and my pricing, and that's what we don't do. Stylists are so busy looking at everybody else's pricing that they don't take into account what is your cost of living requirements and what is your business needs. When you take and factor those 2 things in together. So let's just say, for instance, you need $4,000 a month that rolls into your household, but it also takes you another $2,500 a month to maintain your business. You don't need $4,000 a month. You need $6,500 a month. What does that look like on a daily basis that you work? Now I need to book to what? 6,500 divided by the 23 days this month, not 30, because you're not working 30 days. So I need to divide that by the actual time. So this is where we're getting lost. This is where stylists who aren't really taking the time to take a step back. You have the potential to earn money, but you don't have that potential to earn it within the first 3 or 4 weeks. You got to get your groove back. You got to understand, based on what we're required to do, how does this now fit into what I need to do? How much time do I really need in between a client? Or is there an opportunity for me to start a disinfection process when I move a client from one space to a next space that they're not coming back to? Prime example, I've just shampooed you. You're the only person in my salon. You're not coming back to that shampoo bowl if I'm not rinsing out a conditioner or a color or whatever. Once I'm done with that chemical, or once I'm done with at that shampoo bowl, I need to bring you over to that chair, get you seated, and now I'm gonna go and move things. I'm gonna put stuff away. I'm gonna go ahead and spray it down, and then I'm gonna come, because it's sitting on the surface, the
And
contact time.
that's basically how we was trained, and that's how a lot of salon owners. I mean, that's how I always was.
Absolutely. So those things aren't different.
Right. So just, I mean, it's not different for some of us.
Right.
So that's one thing. My, I guess, concern, I guess it's different strategies for different people as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Some things work for others, and I just think that a lot of people are going to have a lot of anxieties and fears. So I just wanted to try to.
I think the anxieties and the fears are real, but I also think no different than I have a fear of crossing bridges. Do I not cross the bridge? No, I cross the bridge. I have a heightened fear of crossing bridges. There are certain things that if I'm not driving, that I require the driver to do if we're going over a bridge. Right. But I need to get across that bridge. That's the same thing. We all have a fear of something. Now you either choose, because we all, I mean, here's the thing. It's a sad day when anybody dies, period. Whether it is coronavirus, whether it is the flu, whether it is pneumonia, but it happens. So, and we go on every day. We have been around family members. This is an extension of the flu. It is the same type of strain. It is a COVID, if you believe it or not, if you do the research, this is an influenza kind of strain. It is not, it's one we've never seen before to this degree. But this is COVID. If you look at the back of your Lysol, COVID is on the back of your Lysol. It is not COVID-19. So there's different strains of COVID that we've lived with. This is a different strain of it. So I can't tell people what to do in terms of to minimize their own personal fear, because people are going to be afraid at different degrees. No different than, I'll give you an example of when they release a new iPhone or they release a new set of Jordans. There are people who go and stand 2 days in line waiting on them. And then there are those who will say, I'll wait 2 months. It's the same thing. Okay. There are people who are going to, now for me, I'm going to say, okay, one, I was not a proponent of, even when we were quarantined, I started realizing that I was getting anxious from being around people. I'm like, this is not normal. I'm not going to be afraid to have a human contact. So I'm going to get my butt out of this house and I'm going to the grocery store, or I'm going to ride through a drive-through so I can have some people interaction. This is ridiculous, because the longer you self-sequester, the longer mentally you go into what the doctors did say is everybody's going to have an element of PTSD. I just chose not to have a heightened level of PTSD, that it required me to get some psychological care to go out and have interactions in public again. Now, am I going out to the park and to the beaches? Heck no. Do I want people in the grocery store to have on a face mask? You're absolutely correct. Do I want you to still stay 6 feet away from me? Yep, I do. So I'm not the one who says I don't believe in any of this. All I'm saying is, from a fact standpoint and a personal fear standpoint, those are two separate things, and we have to manage them differently. So we have to understand how to deal with people's fear to get them comfortable. And the question then becomes, what will be required for you? Because I've asked this question to many people, because everybody wants everybody to feel the same way they do. They don't, and it's okay that they don't. So if you have a heightened level of fear, my question now comes to you: what will it take for you to feel comfortable and safe going back into the environment? And that's what you have to do to make you feel comfortable. That's what I would have to do to make me feel comfortable. To make me feel comfortable, I need everybody to get a test, especially if you're working beside me. We're all going to be tested, and we know where we start. Every day when we come in, we're taking our temperatures, and we're going to answer the same pre-screening questionnaire every day that we ask every visitor that comes in. If they have these symptoms, we're going to follow the CDC and the OSHA regulations, as well as what the state says, but the state is following CDC.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's the new norm, everybody.
And it's the new norm temporarily. It's not going to last forever, but it is the new norm going back. And this is what I think people are waiting on is, well, if we wait longer, then we won't need all of that stuff. We won't have to wear face masks. To be honest, it's going to be a required that we wear face masks because we're close contact service providers.
Yes.
So anytime we go back, whether it's next month in June, some people might have July, some people might not get back to August. But because we're close contact, there is not a vaccine. Even though you're in the 4th or the 5th phase, that just means the cases have been reduced to whatever satisfactory level that state wants to see.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that it's totally gone.
Right.
So wherever phase you come into, you still need to take the same type of precautions.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So to our audience and to former stylists and salon owners, we just wish you the safest, healthiest journey in this whole pandemic. And we thank you, Karla, for your professional input on this whole industry, the pandemic, and how we are to move forward as professionals. And
I think we just, above board, we just follow the guidelines, and those are minimums. If you feel comfortable incorporating higher standards, by all means do so. And I tell stylists all the time, I'm not as concerned about the person walking through the door as I am concerned about what I'm taking home.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a whole new mindset, everyone, that we have to get used to, and in order for us to move forward. And caution.
Yes, definitely caution. And in the spaces we can control, follow guidelines, follow your gut. If your gut says that you should be doing this, and I think it's warranted, then do that. It doesn't matter what the other salon down the street, it doesn't matter what the CDC is saying. The CDC is giving me my minimums, but I want to take an extra step, and I think everybody has the right to do that.
All right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask the audience if you have any comments or concerns. Karla's information will be in the caption underneath. You can reach out to her at any time.
Yep.
And you can reach out to me as well with any questions or concerns. And we are definitely looking out for the beauty industry. We look forward to everybody getting back to their new normal and success.
Yes, because it's there. It is. It definitely is.
Yes, we thank you again for coming on to Clip It.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yes, I hope so. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we want to give a shout out to the frontliners.
Yes, absolutely.
Everybody that is definitely putting it out there and supporting everyone. And we like to also give our condolences to those that have lost family and friends and loved ones.
Yes.
And God bless you and stay safe. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.